Hi Moby, welcome in Budapest.
Thank you.
It was a very, very great show. You have been vegan almost 40 years.
My vegan date was November 1987. So this November will be my 39-year vegan anniversary. And then next year will be my 40-year vegan anniversary.
Wow, congratulations.
Thanks.
In Hungary, a lot of people think veganism is very extreme and very difficult. What would you like to say to them?
Well, what confuses me is when you have conversations with people, if I ask the simple question, do they love animals? Their answer will be yes. And the next question is, well, would you ever hurt an animal? And the answer is no, of course not. And then if you ask them, would they ever torture an animal? No, of course not. But then the next question is, well, why aren't you vegan? You know, and it's so confusing because everyone agrees with us. Like, no one wants to hurt animals, no one wants to kill animals, but yet they all do. And so the only thing I would say to people is live according to your beliefs, you know? And for people who would say that veganism is extreme, I mean, look at history, you know? At one point in the United States, opposing slavery was extreme. At one point in the United States, supporting a woman's right to vote was extreme. At one point in the United States, having white and black people in the military was extreme. At one point in the United States, supporting gay marriage was extreme. So history shows the best change tends to be extreme before it happens.
What was the moment when you decided to become vegan?
I had that almost, we'll call it like the split ethics that most people have. Up until 1984, I loved animals. You know, my house was filled with rescued animals who I loved and would never hurt, but I also loved going to Burger King and I loved going to McDonald's. And then finally in 1984, I was petting a rescued cat that we had and I realized, oh, this rescued cat has its own life and a deep desire to avoid pain and suffering and a deep desire to be safe. And in one instant, I realized that applies to every animal on the planet. And so that led me to go vegetarian in 1984, because in 1984, no one knew what vegan was. Mm-hmm. And then a few years later, after reading the book Diet for a New America by John Robbins in 1987, I went vegan.
You often speak up for animal rights. What is your opinion? An artist should speak about moral issues for the public?
It would be wonderful to live in a time when artists and people didn't have to speak out about politics, but we don't live in that time. I think it is everybody's responsibility to be as politically engaged as they can be and to be as culturally engaged as they can be. Like when a musician or an actor or a writer or someone chooses not to speak about politics, to me that's unethical because the world needs help. You know, whether it's protecting democracy, whether it's preventing climate change, whether it's addressing microplastics, or as we agree, whether it's addressing animal rights. I'm sorry, I don't want to judge, but I have no patience for musicians and actors and public figures who won't use their platform to talk about important issues.
How does your veganism affect your music and your art?
Well, the music that I make is almost a refuge from the world. You know, like my day job is being an activist. I have a film and TV company and we try to help support a lot of activist films. I do a lot of philanthropy. So my job technically is activism. Music to me is a refuge. It also generates money that I can give to nonprofits and help support animal rights organizations. But ultimately, music to me is the gateway. You know, because like tonight, during Why Does My Heart Feel So Bad, we had footage of liberated animals, of rescued animals. It's safe to say 99% of the people in the audience are not vegan.
Have you ever gotten an attack for your veganism?
Yes, I've been attacked millions of times.
Not a physical attack?
Well, I've been attacked physically too. I've been attacked in social media. I've been attacked physically. I've been attacked in Congress. Like, I've been attacked so many times. The only thing I care about is being a good voice for animals. So if I'm being attacked and that hurts my ability to help animals, then I need to think about it. But I certainly, on a personal level, I don't care. All I care about is, am I living a consistent life? Are my actions consistent with my values? And am I working as hard and effectively as I can to help animals?
Because I am a founder of Vegan Business Circle, I'm really curious about your opinion. What do you expect from plant-based entrepreneurs?
I don't know the structures here, but in the United States there are traditional charities, which are called 501c3s. And then there's political organizations, which are C4s or PACs. And then there's media, which is movies like What the Health, Forks Over Knives, Cowspiracy. And then the fourth part of the philanthropic circle is commerce, as we've seen, whether it's with Miyoko's cheese, whether it's with Veggie Grill, Beyond Burger, Impossible, Stella McCartney. Commerce is such an important part of vegan activism, of animal activism. I think we're all learning, whether it's Ethan Brown at Beyond, whether it's the people at Just, we're all trying to figure this out. I think about 6 years ago, we thought it was going to be easy. We thought that giving someone an Impossible Burger or Beyond Meat would be easy. They would switch. We forgot that the meat industry was going to fight back. Same thing with fur, Same thing with testing on animals. There's so many ways in which I think we thought when we presented people with the better commercial option, they would choose it. And we forgot that that's not always the case. So we have to be strategic, which is when we approach things a certain way, if it doesn't work, we have to change. We have to listen to consumers. We have to listen to the marketplace. We have to adapt to keep things viable, because there's no point going out of business, But vegan commerce is the future, whether it's plant-based meat, whether it's apple leather or pineapple leather or mushroom leather, it's the future. We just have to keep pushing to get there.
So are you optimistic about the future, about the veganism and the animal rights?
Eventually it's going to work out. The only question is it going to work out with humans or without humans? If we keep going the way we're going, civilizations will end, as we've seen this summer with climate change, as we've seen with microplastics, as we've seen with pandemics. Humans might not be around that much longer. And if that's the case, then the animals benefit. So either humans figure out how to live in harmony with nature, or nature will destroy us. It's that simple. There's no other option. That's just how the world works. There's that scene in The Matrix when he calls humans a virus. And I'm like, yeah, we are. And if you look at it epidemiologically, viruses are interesting. Sometimes we learn to live with bacteria. We learn to live with viruses. All of the bacteria in our stomachs, at one point that used to kill us. But now we've learned how to sort of have a symbiotic relationship. As humans, we need to learn how to have that symbiotic relationship with the world. And a huge part of that is no longer using animals for food and fashion.
A bit easier question. Have you already tasted Hungarian vegan food?
Yes, I've had Hungarian vegan food, just not this time, because we only arrived yesterday. And today was too hot to leave the hotel. I was going to go out today and go to a vegan restaurant, but I went outside and I was like, it was just too hot.
When are you planning your next concert in Budapest?
I don't really imagine touring in the future. This might be the last one. I don't know. There's so many other things in life. I love touring. I love playing music, but when I'm home, I get to work on films, I get to work on media, I get to work on philanthropy, I get to work on activism. So when this tour ends, that might be the end of it.
What message can you send to the Vegan Business Circle members and for other entrepreneurs, vegan activists who are working for a kinder and more sustainable world?
My advice is look at history. Almost every social movement has a trajectory. And veganism is a really interesting trajectory because it's so tied to commerce. You know, most social movements are not tied to commerce. Veganism is. I forget the guy who invented the Impossible Burger, but I read an interview with him, and he had the greatest perspective, which was meat is never going to get better. You can't make a new version of meat, whereas plant-based meat will keep getting better. Plant-based fashion will keep getting better. The vegan world of commerce and research and science will just keep getting better. Animal agriculture won't. Look at history, look at other commerce movements. You know, for example, look at the adoption of the internet in the late 90s. You know, when I was in New York, there were all these companies that suddenly started popping up. 99% of them went out of business. The ones that remained are still there and they're thriving. That's going to happen with vegan products, is the good ones will survive. And everyone thinks it's only the product. You know, they're like, I've made a great energy bar. I'm like, okay, great. What are your margins? What's your path to retail? What's your burn rate? What's your, you know, how much money do you have? You know, what's your capital that's going to keep you going for the next 18 months? Who's the head of your distribution? There's so much to commerce that's not exciting, but you need it in order to succeed. So the product is 10% of it. 90% of it is the path to market and the marketing. When I had a company in New York, we sold bottled iced tea. And what I did is I went to the bottling plant and I walked around with the distributors and I went to the stores and I met the people who were buying the product. You have to learn on the streets. Retail is streets. And a lot of people forget that. Sorry for rambling on, but I've had so many thousands of people come up with great vegan retail ideas. And I'm like, okay, who's your distributor? You know, what's your NCAP program? What are your programs for working with warehouses? If they don't have great answers, like I'd be more inclined to invest in a vegan company that didn't have a product, but that had a path to distribution. That to me is more important than the product.
Thank you so much, Moby. I really appreciate your time and your inspiring words and your compassion for animal rights. I would like to give you a small gift. It's my book.
Oh, thank you.
It's Inspire You. It's Hungarian, but I wrote some personal message in English.
Well, thank you.
And the first quote in the book from you.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.